Discover the incredible journey of a hidden farm boy who transformed chocolate forever. Liam stood in the golden light of the setting sun, the fields stretching endlessly before him, whispering the stories of generations. His hands bore the markings of a life spent tilling the earth dirt beneath his nails, calluses on palms forged from sunburned toil. Yet, while his heart pulsed with the rhythm of farm life, a secret flickered within him, one that danced to the sweet notes of chocolate. Since childhood, his late grandmother's treasured recipes had woven a tapestry of love, joy, and sorrow. Each decadent truffle and melt-in-your-mouth brownie was a love letter that reminded him of their laughter together in the kitchen. But now, as he prepared to face another heavy day ahead, that passion felt like a hidden dream, buried under the weight of expectation as the sounds of dinner echoed from the farmhouse. His father's voice cut through the air like a scythe. "Liam, stop daydreaming. You're in charge of those fields." The old man's face was a stern mask molded by years of hardship, his eyes like storm clouds shadowing any hint of joy. Liam swallowed hard. Being a dreamer brought only shame in a world of hard-working men and women. There was no place for the fanciful thoughts of chocolate in a household that thrived on sweat and soil. Yet, the news of a chocolate competition in the nearby city set his heart racing. It was a tantalizing chance to showcase his talents, but there was a fear that coiled in his stomach. What if he failed? Would he be seen as a traitor to the family legacy, a misfit in the community that prided itself on tradition? His dreams felt like fragile eggs in a nest of expectation, ready to crack under pressure. One night, while gazing at the heavens studded with stars, an aching conviction washed over him. He vowed to reach for that dream, to let the sweetness of chocolate infuse his life, no matter the resistance around him. His heart raced as he gathered his grandmother's old recipes. Like scattered stars, he hoped to align for the journey ahead. But self-doubt can be a relentless foe. On his way to practice, he collided with Mr. Thompson, the town's kind-hearted elder. The veteran, who had weathered his storms, offered Liam not just words of encouragement but a guiding hand. "Every dream can be forged, just like metal in a fire," he said, his eyes glinting with a spark of wisdom. With newfound determination, Liam prepared for the competition, each whisk of batter fueling a flicker of hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the competition arrived in a burst of colors and sounds, his heart pounding like a drum. As Liam stood beneath the bright lights, surrounded by critics and competitors, a tide of emotions surged. Would his creations be enough? Each chocolate he crafted was a piece of his soul, a reflection of dreams lost and found. He caught glimpses of his father in the crowd, uncertainty warring with hope on the old man's face. But just as victory seemed close, a shocking truth from his father sent shockwaves through his spirit. It could all unravel. Everything he dreamt of hung by a thread. Would he succumb to the familiar weight of tradition, or would he forge a path not just for himself, but for his family too? As he searched the audience for the answer in their faces, the question lingered in the air. What does it truly mean to dream? The competition hall buzzed with energy, laughter, and the scent of rich chocolate wafting through the air. Yet, for Liam, everything felt hazy. His heart pounded in his chest like a drummer calling him to battle. He glanced at the other contestants, each with their own unique creations. Some had towering displays, others intricate designs that dazzled the eye. It all felt overwhelming, as if a tidal wave of self-doubt was ready to sweep him away. As Liam took a deep breath, he focused on the creations he'd painstakingly prepared. The chocolate truffles glistened under the lights, their delicate shells hiding flavors that only he and his grandmother knew. Memories of the two of them in the kitchen flooded back, her laughter filling the air, the warmth of their shared moments making the hard work worthwhile. Could he really honor her legacy by putting those flavors on display? The judges began their rounds, moving from booth to booth with critical eyes and discerning palates. When they reached his station, Liam felt his whole body tense. It was as if time slowed. He forced a smile, trying to mask the whirlwind inside him. "Welcome. I hope you enjoy these," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. One of the judges, a seasoned chocolatier with silver hair and a discerning gaze, picked up a truffle and took a deliberate bite. Liam held his breath, watching as the judge savored the experience. A flicker of surprise brightened the man's expression, and Liam's heart soared. Could it be? A good sign? "Delicious!" the judge exclaimed, his face breaking into a warm smile. "The balance of flavors is impressive. What inspired you?" Before Liam could answer, he heard a voice cut through the moment. It was his father, standing at the back of the crowd, arms crossed tightly over his chest. "You think this is a joke, son? Don't you dare waste your time on these silly dreams." The harshness of the words sent shame crashing over Liam like a cold wave. Each word felt like a blow. The judge's smile faded slightly, and a hush fell over the booth as onlookers turned to see the unfolding drama. Liam's heart sank, his spirit wavering under the weight of expectation. Was he really a fool for chasing a dream that didn't fit with his father's vision for him? But then, a spark ignited within him. He thought of his grandmother's gentle hands guiding his own, teaching him the artistry of chocolate. He thought of Mr. Thompson's words about forging dreams like metal in fire. With a sudden rush of defiance, he stepped forward. "Dad, this isn't a joke. This is who I am. These flavors are part of our family's story." The words poured out, raw and unfiltered. "If I can't show the world what we've created together, what's the point?" There was a moment of silence, the eyes of the crowd shifting back and forth, caught in the emotional tide. For the first time, Liam felt a wave of support from strangers who understood the weight of dreams, how they could lift you or crush you. His father's expression flickered, a crack in the stormy surface of his resolve. "Liam," he said, but his words faltered. Questions danced in his eyes. Could this be the moment when everything changed? As the crowd buzzed around him, filled with whispers of encouragement, Liam's heart raced. If only he could bridge the gap between his dream and his father's expectations. Could he stand tall and push back against the fear? And where would that journey lead him next? The air was electric, a mix of anticipation and disbelief hanging in the space between Liam and his father. The crowd held its breath, waiting for the next move. For a heartbeat, Liam felt like he was floating above the chaos. Looking down on the scene unfolding below him, the judge, the onlookers, the strained connection with his father. His father, the man whose approval had always been like a distant star, now felt so close yet so far. Liam, his father, started again, his voice softer this time, as if a thread of hesitation had woven its way into his tough exterior. "You really think this is going to lead to something? This isn't a hobby. It's a fantasy." "It's not a fantasy," Liam shot back, feeling the fire rise within him. "It's my reality." Each word was like a hammer against the doubts surrounding him. He wanted to scream out the truth behind the cocoa and cream, the truth that had been brewing inside him for years. But in that moment of explosion, Liam realized something crucial. It was not only about proving himself to his father. It was about honoring his grandmother and the joy that they had crafted together through chocolate. Her spirit was tied to each truffle, each burst of flavor, all of it wrapped in love and warmth. "I miss her," he continued, his voice dropping to a more vulnerable tone. "I want to share our story, Dad. I want to keep her memory alive." It was a gamble to bare his heart in front of the audience that had become more than just spectators. They were witnesses. The judge watched this exchange with deepening interest, momentarily forgotten as the atmosphere thickened. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Many felt the passion in Liam's words, the universal weight of family ties and the longing to pursue dreams unapproved by others. Liam could see between the faces nods of understanding, shared glances. In that poignant silence, Liam's father shifted slightly. The harsh lines on his face softened, revealing something more vulnerable. Perhaps it was pride? Regret? For a split second, Liam dared to hope he could break through the walls that had surrounded them for so long. But the moment shattered as the judge cleared his throat, bringing attention back to the truffles. Your passion is palpable, young man. But let us not forget. He paused, holding another truffle up in the light. This is a competition. Let us see if your flavors can match your heart. Liam held his breath as the judge prepared to take another bite. This was everything his grandmother's legacy. His battle against self-doubt, the fracture with his father, all encapsulated in these delicate bites of chocolate. It was bold, raw, and utterly terrifying as the judge experienced that flavor explosion. A flicker of genuine interest returned to the elder man's eyes. He murmured, nodding slowly. The crowd leaned closer as each judge took their turn tasting, their expressions a swirling mix of surprise and delight. Liam's heart beat like a drum, blending with the ticking seconds that felt like hours. Would this be enough? Would the flavors speak louder than words? Louder than expectations? Could this be the beginning of something new? A bridge toward his father's acceptance? Then, just as the last judge savored the final truffle, a shriek of laughter erupted from the back of the hall. The unmistakable sound of a child, bright and innocent, momentarily broke the tension. Mommy, look, the chocolate man. The little girl pointed straight at Liam, her wide eyes sparkling, radiant with admiration. All heads turned, just as Liam felt he was entering a new realm of confidence. Suddenly a new wave of uncertainty hit him. His father stiffened again, caught off guard by this unexpected distraction. What did that little girl see in him? As whispers filled the hall, Liam realized that his journey was far from over. It had led to this new revelation, but now he stood on the edge again. Could he truly inspire not just his father, but others too? The true test was on the horizon, and he could feel its heat rising. As murmurs of encouragement washed over him, Liam's heart raced at the thought of what might come next. What could it mean for a farm boy to capture not just chocolate, but dreams? Where would this adventure lead? The laughter from the little girl hung in the air, almost tangible, echoing against the walls that had stood between Liam and his father for far too long. For a fleeting moment, Liam's doubts flickered like the shadows of the setting sun, replaced by a faint glimmer of hope. Perhaps if he could show his father his world and passion, he could also inspire that innocence in others. Look at him, Mommy. Yes, the best. The girl's voice rang out again, filled with pure admiration. The crowd wasn't just captivated by the chocolates anymore. They were captivated by him. The unexpected attention felt like a warm sunbeam breaking through the clouds of anxiety. A sense of belonging bloomed in Liam's chest. His father watched, eyes narrowed, unsure of what to make of the moment. Liam detected the internal battle waging within him. Was it pride he saw or lingering skepticism? Whatever it was, it felt like a chisel shaping the ice that encased their relationship. Liam hoped this was the point of thaw, the moment they could finally speak without walls between them. Thank you, Liam said, lifting his voice above the noise, addressing the girl directly. That means a lot. Really. The innocence of her words shone brighter than the gold foil on his truffles. He glanced over at the spectators. Their expressions mirrored the little girl's curiosity and wonder. This was more than a competition. It was a connection, a chance to resonate with others, to find similarity amidst their differences. All right, the judge interrupted, still holding the remnants of the truffle he had tasted. You've stirred something in this room, Liam. But the question remains. Are these flavors genuinely your own? Or are they simply echoes of your grandmother's legacy? Liam's heart sank for a heartbeat. That question struck deep. What if the chocolates were too reminiscent of his grandmother? Would he ever escape the shadow of her genius? But the truth coursed through him, like fresh cream curling into melted chocolate. He had poured his soul into those truffles. They sang of his memory and grief, but they also whispered of the hopes and dreams he'd cultivated alone. The crowd quieted, the air thick with anticipation. Liam met his father's eyes, searching for a hint of encouragement. They are mine, he declared, voice steady, undeterred by the doubts flickering in his chest. I took what she taught me and made it my own. I take pride in that. The moment felt suspended in time, an electric charge filling the space around them as people awaited his father's reaction. Something changed in the way the elder man held himself. His shoulders relaxed just a fraction, his gaze steadying on Liam with attention that was both new and familiar. The judge gestured for silence, looking intrigued. Then show us. Why don't you share the inspiration behind your creations? Liam felt like he'd been offered a lifeline. Yes, he breathed, filling himself with courage. I want to tell everyone about her. About the joy of creating. About how chocolate is not just candy, it's a connection. A shared memory. The crowd seemed to lean forward, each listening intently as his voice began to flow, sharing snippets of his grandmother's lessons, the laughter they shared in the kitchen, the tantalizing scents wafting through the air, and the lessons of love and resilience taught through the art of chocolate. As he spoke, Liam lost track of time. He watched faces soften, heard the gasps of understanding and hunger for deeper connections. Something in that room shifted. Barriers seemed to dissolve, and warmth spread through him like melted chocolate, binding them all together. And somewhere amid the emotions swirling in the room, he caught a glimpse of his father's face. It held a mixture of something beautiful, understanding, perhaps, or the stirrings of acceptance. But it was the sound of the crowd's laughter and applause that startled him back to the moment, jolting him like a cold splash of water. The judge raised his hand, signaling for calm. Liam, that was profound, he said almost reverently. Now let us see how your flavors hold up against that passion. In that instant, the stakes felt higher than ever. As the judges prepared for their final assessments, Liam's breath quickened again. He had laid bare his heart and soul, ready to face any outcome. Yet the looming fear gnawed at him. Would his flavors resonate enough to win the competition? Would they resonate enough to win his father's approval? Then, just as anticipation swelled, a loud crash echoed from behind the judges, startling everyone in the room. An unexpected event threatened to disrupt everything he had just achieved. What could possibly go wrong now? The noise rattled through the auditorium, scattering the focused energy like leaves in a fierce wind. All eyes darted towards the source of the disturbance, a table tumbling over, propelling chocolate samples and empty plates into the air. Gasps filled the room as people rushed to help, but the moment felt suspended. The world around Liam faded, and all he could feel was the pounding of his heart, the shaky breaths escaping his lips. Is everyone all right? The judge's voice cut through the chaos, trying to regain control. Liam stood frozen, his mind racing. The cheers from before fell silent, and the flickers of warmth he'd felt moments ago turned into a cold pit in his stomach. Had this mishap stolen everything he had just built? Had he finally glimpsed acceptance, only for it to shatter in an instant? Liam! A familiar voice broke through the din. He turned to see his father standing nearby, a look of concern mixed with determination. Help them. It was a simple command, but it ignited something in Liam, a spark of purpose amidst the turmoil. He bounded forward without thinking, dodging scattered chocolate and confused spectators. He joined the judges and staff, moving quickly to right the fallen table and gather the splintered pieces of truffle. Something inside him was transforming once again. It felt like a melding of that childhood joy spent in the kitchen and the newfound strength he'd discovered in the competition. As he worked, he caught glimpses of the crowd, people no longer just waiting in anticipation but actively participating in the energy of the moment. Laughter replaced anxiety as his teammates and even the audience helped pick up chocolate pieces, smiles breaking through the earlier tension amid the chocolate chaos. Liam began to feel that warmth again, an unvoiced bond passing between everyone in the room. Sorry about that. A voice chimed in, a nervous young man grinning sheepishly. It was one of the contestants from a nearby table, his hands covered in melted chocolate. I guess I got too excited. Liam couldn't help but laugh, shaking his head. Seeing the shared laughter felt like a bridge forming between competitors, stripping away the layers of rivalry they had held on to. His father's expression shifted subtly as well. The narrowing of his eyes softened, revealing intrigue, perhaps even pride. Once the chaos settled and the judges swept the floor, Liam caught sight of them standing together, whispering among themselves. He stepped away from the cleanup, retreating to the back, heart racing again with anticipation and nerves. Would they still take him seriously after the chaos? Had his father's renewed interest been swept away along with the table? Just then, the judge turned toward the crowd, a serious expression on his face. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience through the unexpected excitement. In the face of adversity, we witnessed resilience and teamwork today. A wave of relief washed over Liam, tinged with surprise. Had they seen it all, the way light seemed to gather back at the edges of their shared experience? But we also have a decision to make, the judge continued, letting a moment of suspense hang in the air. The flavors are what brought us together. And now, his eyes scanned the room. We will taste once more. This time it's about connection. Let us see how Liam's creations hold up after this wild turn of events. Liam's breath caught again. Would his flavors alone be strong enough to carry the day? Would they still see the passion he poured into them despite the distraction? As the judge made his way closer, and the moment felt charged with expectation, Liam braced himself, ready to defend the stories, memories, and the resilience he had tied into every truffle. But before he could spiral into his thoughts, an unexpected noise echoed across the floor, a shout from the far side of the room. A child had fallen. Liam's heart seized again, an instant rush of compassion washing over him as instincts kicked in. He would have to do whatever it took to help. But in the midst of this second distraction, he couldn't shake the question. Would anyone remember the truffles at all? Everything he built was about to teeter once more. Would he find a way to stand firm? The room seemed to hold its breath as the childish cry pierced through the chaos. It wasn't just a fall, it was a desperate call for comfort. Liam's instincts screamed at him to act, to rush forward and make sure the child was okay. He glanced at the judges, still whispering amongst themselves, but they seemed oblivious to the commotion. "Hey!" he shouted, cutting through the noise, his heart pounding. He pushed past the pack of contestants and spectators, making his way to the little boy who had sprawled on the floor, a toppled chocolate sample nearby. Panic surged within him as he knelt beside the child. "Are you hurt?" Liam gently asked, his voice steady, though anxiety twisted in his stomach. The boy's face was scrunched up tightly with tears, chocolate smudged on his cheeks, but he shook his head. "I just tripped," he whimpered, glancing over at his worried mother who had rushed to his side. Relief flooded through Liam, a bright light in the midst of tangled emotions. He caught the mother's grateful gaze as she hugged her son tightly. A ripple of laughter broke out among the audience. The tension seemed to lift, and just like that, warmth returned to the room. Liam stood, brushing off his knees, grounded again in the moment. "See? Nothing to worry about," he said with a reassuring smile, directing his gaze toward the boy, who was now attempting a smile of his own. The child's small grin ignited something in Liam, an understanding that the real taste of life was richer than chocolate alone. It was the connections formed, the kindness shared, and the laughter that persevered even in chaos. His dad's voice called out, pulling him back to the immediate. "Liam!" The concern in his father's eyes had transformed to pride. "You showed real character out there." "Thanks, Dad." Liam felt lighter, buoyed by his father's acknowledgement. But still, lingering doubt hung over him. Would anyone now remember those truffles? The judge cleared his throat again, signaling everyone to gather their attention. "Now, let us get back to our original purpose," he began, glancing at the scattered plates of truffles, once the stars of the show. "Liam has demonstrated resilience today, and we owe it to him to taste what he has brought." The judge moved closer to Liam, holding one of the truffles. These weren't just crafted in a kitchen. They represent community, compassion, and heart. Let us see how they taste in light of today's events. The room grew silent, the excitement palpable as people leaned forward. Liam's heart raced, uncertainty clawing at him. Would they appreciate the connection he tried to forge with each bite? As the first judge took a bite, a collective breath was held in anticipation. Moments felt like hours as the judge chewed thoughtfully, eyes narrowing in concentration. Then, A smile broke across the judge's face. This is exceptional. The richness mingling with that hint of oblivion, it's an experience. You remind us that flavors, like life, are often unpredictable but incredibly rewarding. Cheers erupted in the auditorium, drowning out his worries. Liam felt the warmth pooling in his chest again, the cheers echoing in harmony with his heartbeat. Everyone, the judge continued, the truth about chocolate is that it isn't just about the taste. It's about the stories behind them. And Liam's story is one of strength, resilience, and finding unity amid chaos. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound roaring in his ears. But just as Liam started to soak it in, a new commotion stirred at the back of the room. People began pointing, their faces filled with shock. What's happening? Liam wondered, a fresh wave of unease washing over him. A figure stepped through the crowd, drenched in chocolate and puffing as though they had run a marathon. Liam's heart sank. He recognized the face. What would this mean for the truffles, for him, and for the momentum he'd just gained? His mind raced as everything seemed to teeter once again. The truth was about to take another unexpected turn, and Liam braced himself for whatever came next. Would this new development shatter the newfound joy he had begun to feel, or would it take him to untold heights? The figure stumbled closer, the torn remnants of an oversized chocolate apron clinging to their frame. It was Emily, a fellow contestant and one of Liam's closest friends. The sight of her, covered head to toe in chocolate, sent ripples of laughter through the crowd, but Liam felt a pang of concern for her. "Emily, what happened?" he called out, instinctively moving toward her. The audience, still buzzing from the judge's praise, turned their collective attention to the scene unfolding. Emily looked up, her hair matted and her eyes wide with a mixture of embarrassment and frantic urgency. "I tried to help. I thought I'd be clever," she gasped, brushing chocolate from her cheek. "But it didn't go as planned. I wanted to create a spectacle, something to shock everyone." The chocolate fountain in the back, let's just say it erupted. "I'm still trying to clean up," she chuckled, but a flicker of panic danced in her eyes. The audience, who had just celebrated Liam's triumph, shifted into a wave of concern for Emily, and with it came a possible new narrative. Liam felt the energy in the room shift. He imagined the headlines already circulating. "Contestant messes up, but audience loves her spirit." The same magic that had buoyed him just moments ago began to feel fractured. "Do you need help?" Liam asked, placing a supportive hand on her shoulder. Emily nodded, her smile faltering for a brief moment. "I hate to ruin your moment," she murmured, looking genuinely apologetic. "Hey, none of that," Liam said quickly, an idea striking him in an instant. "This is a chance. We can turn this around. Why not join forces? I can showcase both of our creations." Emily's eyes widened. "Really? But my chocolate, it's not presentable, who cares?" Liam interrupted, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "We can create a new thing on the spot. People love surprises. Let's make it part of the show." His proposal hung in the air for a beat, uncertainty shimmering between them. Could they really harness this strange turn of events into something beautiful? The audience began to murmur, excitement mingling with curiosity. Without waiting for an answer, Liam moved quickly, filling cups with truffles while swirling his fingers through the gooey chocolate Emily had draped across the counter. "Watch this," he exclaimed, letting the melted chocolate flow from his fingertips as he coaxed it into wild shapes. Emily caught his infectious energy, joining in on the messy fun. With a laugh, she began to swirl some of her chocolate into Liam's creations, and the audience leaned in, captivated. "Messy chocolate for messy people," Liam shouted, throwing his hands in the air while the crowd erupted in cheers. Laughter mingled with joyful applause as they twisted the chaos into their newfound venture. With each passing moment, it became clear that the chocolate wasn't just a substance to be judged, it was alive. Just like them. It held stories of struggle, triumph, friendship, and laughter. The cheers rang louder than before, echoing a sense of unity that Liam had craved in the first place. But just as the rhythm of laughter and creativity peaked, a deeper realization struck Liam. This was bigger than competition. It was about forging connections. Yet, would the judges see it that way? Gaining acceptance in this light was embarking on an uncharted course beyond the walls of the competition. As the crowd continued to roar with delight, Liam felt a wave of warmth and confidence fill him. But from the back of the audience, he caught a glimpse of a shadow moving. Was it hope? Or a shadow that could threaten everything he had just built? "Stay close," he whispered to Emily, unsure of what exactly was coming next. As cheers and laughter faded for a fleeting moment, Liam braced himself for whatever challenge was lurking on the horizon. Would this new alliance stand strong? Or would the unexpected twist leave them both vulnerable under the spotlight? Liam's heart pounded against his ribs as he scanned the audience. The excitement that buzzed through the room dimmed slightly, giving way to a profound sense of uncertainty. He felt Emily's small hand clutch his arm, her chocolate-smeared face a mix of exhilaration and worry. "Do you really think we can pull this off?" she whispered, her voice barely audible above the remaining cheers. "Of course," Liam exclaimed, more confidently than he felt. "Just trust me. This is our moment." He turned back to their workstation. The chaos was still there, chocolate splattered everywhere, but instead of chaos, he saw potential. With fresh determination, he grabbed a handful of the truffles he had prepared earlier, layering them atop a wild chocolate landscape they had begun creating together. The crowd began to murmur with curiosity again as the two transformed the mess into something almost magical. Liam shaped the chocolate into whimsical figures, while Emily focused on drizzling bright-colored chocolate over their creation, adding an artistic touch that was distinctly her own. "Look, chocolate flowers," she giggled, swirling her colored cocoa into delicate petals. Liam grinned. "And chocolate vines." He weaved his fingers through the mixture, creating an intricate design that flowed from their combined effort as they worked side by side. The crowd's initial trepidation transformed. They were no longer merely observing. They were swept up in the spectacle of creativity. Laughter erupted as Liam pretended to dodge falling chocolate drips, and Emily fell into fits of giggles, shaking the remnants of her earlier embarrassment. "See? This is what it's all about," Liam shouted out to the crowd, who responded with enthusiastic cheers. For the first time, he felt as if they were genuinely sharing a moment, not just competing. They were crafting something unique, blending their chaos and creativity into a symphony of flavors and fun. Yet, in the back of his mind, that shadow moved again. His gaze darted toward where he had spotted it before. A figure stood there, tall and imposing, arms crossed, face fixed in a frown. It belonged to the head judge, and with a wave of unease, he could feel the potential disapproval looming above them like a dark cloud. "Focus," he muttered to himself. "Just keep doing what we do best." But just as he turned back to Emily, the judge stepped forward, addressing the crowd with a powerful voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing here is not just an accident. It's a pivotal moment." The room fell silent, tension rising like the chocolate obliviously oozing from their creation. Would the judge appreciate their spontaneous innovation? Or was this chaotic display about to be torn apart? With anticipation hanging in the air, Liam leaned closer to Emily, feeling a mixture of dread and hope. "What do you think he'll say?" "I don't know, but if he doesn't like it," she trailed off, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Let us just hope the crowd feels what we feel," Liam said softly. "That would make it all worth it." As the judge prepared to speak, the weight of all their efforts, risks, and emotions hung in the balance. Would they be embraced for their unconventional approach, or left shattered under the bright lights of the competition? The moment stretched, like a thick layer of chocolate poured over a cool surface, and then, with a pronounced breath, the judge began to speak. The judge's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "What we see here is not mere chaos," he declared, the authority in his tone gripping the attention of everyone in the room. "What we have is an explosion of creativity." Liam felt both pride and anxiety swell inside him, a cocktail of emotions that made his pulse race. He caught Emily's eyes wide with wonder, her lips parting in anticipation. "This is the spirit of chocolate," the judge continued. "It's messy, it's unexpected, and it's filled with heart." Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most uniquely crafted piece I've seen all evening. The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of sound washing over Liam and Emily, lifting them with it. Did you hear that? Liam whispered incredulously to Emily, who was practically bouncing on her toes. Yeah. He liked it, she squealed, eyes sparkling with joy. They shared a quick high five, the thrill of appreciation coursing through them like the very chocolate they had just molded. But even amidst the celebration, a part of Liam's mind nestled in doubt. Was this just a passing moment of enthusiasm? What if the judge was merely being kind, and their work wouldn't stand the test of real judgment? He stole another glance at the judge, trying to decipher the man's expression. The judge was deep in thought, pen poised above his scorecard. Now, he broke his gaze from the creation to look directly at Liam and Emily. This isn't just art, it's a statement. And statements have power. I urge you to remember that, moving forward. Liam swallowed hard, the weight of those words settling in. A statement? What was he really trying to say with chocolate? Just then, the reality of the competition began to take hold. Sure, they had made a splash, but there were still competitors left to impress, and victory was far from guaranteed as the applause carried on. Emily leaned closer, her voice dipping to a whisper. Do you think we can win? I think Liam started, hoping to weave a big answer. But the truth was complicated. I think we've already won something by just being ourselves. But the competition still isn't over. He wished he felt more certain. Before any more thoughts could spiral, the judge raised his hand, calling for silence. At this point in our competition, it's essential to showcase all that creativity has to offer. So, dear contestants, he paused dramatically, I have a surprise for you. Liam felt his heart skip. A surprise? What could it be? The murmurs swept through the crowd like a wildfire, igniting a mix of curiosity and anxiety. Based on what we've seen tonight, the top two teams will compete in a final round of challenge where you'll have to come up with an entirely new confection using flavors from your heritage. This is your chance to show us who you really are beyond the chocolate. A tingle flowed through Liam. It flourished with both excitement and fear. New flavors? He echoed softly to Emily, his mind racing with ideas and memories. We could explore everything. But what if we mess it up? Emily squeezed his arm tightly, her chocolatey fingers leaving a smudge on his sleeve. No matter what we make, Liam, we have to be true to us. Remember that. This can be amazing if we let it. Liam nodded, recalling how they had transformed chaos into magic. He realized this challenge was about honoring their story, a story they could mold into something incredible. Then let us do it, he declared, inspired by Emily's fire as they stepped away from their workstation. Liam felt the passion ignite once more. They had a new journey ahead, and amid the excitement, he hoped they would find the voice in their chocolate that spoke to who they truly were. But before they could dive into brainstorming, the judge issued a final reminder. You have 5 minutes to prepare your presentation and gather your ingredients. This round is going to be intense. 5 minutes. Liam felt the rush of adrenaline slam into his chest, the clock ticking down with terrifying speed. What flavors would represent their journey? What would make them stand out? As they scrambled together, tension and excitement laced the air thick. Was this about to become the defining moment of their adventure? Or were they on the brink of a delicious disaster? The next chapter was about to begin, one filled with choices that could either elevate them or lead them spiraling back down. Time raced by, each ticking second echoing in Liam's ears, as he and Emily hustled to assemble their ideas for the final round of the competition. The energy in the room buzzed, a charged current running beneath the surface of laughter and chatter. Liam felt his heart racing, but it wasn't fear creeping in, this was exhilaration. What do we have that represents us? He asked, glancing around their workspace, his mind whirling with possibilities. Emily paused, considering. Chocolate's not just about sweetness. It's about memories, connection. What did we grow up with? A flood of thoughts cascaded through Liam's mind. The heavy scent of cocoa mingling with freshly baked bread. The warmth of his grandmother's kitchen. The love that wrapped around every dessert they created. He grinned at Emily, inspiration sparking. The muffins she used to make. We could infuse those flavors into our chocolate. Absolutely, Emily exclaimed, excitement lighting up her eyes. Nutty, sweet, and rich. And we could add hints of spices. What if we add a touch of cinnamon just like she used to do? Yes, Liam replied, enthusiasm bubbling over. The two started gathering their ingredients, the clatter of bowls and whisks blending into a symphony of preparation. With hurried hands, they worked together, exchanging glances and laughter, a rhythm forming between them. As they mixed the ingredients, the flavors began to take shape, an echo of memories swirling throughout their creation. Cinnamon danced alongside nutmeg, rich chocolate enveloping the scent of baked muffins from their childhood. Each swirl of the batter was like digging deeper into that cherished past, reconnecting with the essence of community and love. Before they knew it, the 5 minutes were almost up. We need a name, something to tie it together, Emily urged, eyes wide with urgency. Liam pondered, glancing into the swirling mass of chocolate and spices before them. How about Seeds of Joy? Perfect. That captures everything we've put into it, Emily beamed. With one final flourish, they poured the mixture into creatively shaped molds, a blend of chocolate and memories melding into something entirely new. They finished just in time, stepping back to admire their work, a small sense of pride swelling within them. As the judge made his way over to their station, Liam's heart raced. Would he see the joy behind Seeds of Joy? Would the flavors speak louder than their experiences had? The judge approached, curiosity colored his features. You two have spun a lovely tale of flavors, but do they truly hold the essence of your journey? Without hesitation, Liam found his voice. This creation carries our memories, our heritage, and our dedication to family. It's about connection and celebrating what chocolate has meant to us, just like the bonds it creates. Holding their breath, they watched him take a bite. The crowd's chatter faded, the air thick with anticipation. The judge chewed slowly, his expression inscrutable. A moment stretched on, and with it, Liam's nerves surged. Then suddenly the judge smiled. A light of approval danced in his eyes. This embodies creativity and connection. You've taken your dreams and embraced your story in a remarkable way. Cheers erupted from the crowd, shaking Liam's heart with warmth. This moment, this validation, was what he had yearned for. But just then, he scanned the audience and spotted his father, standing back, arms crossed but expression softened with pride. The gap between them seemed to melt away, and Liam felt a sense of belonging wash over him like a gentle wave, as applause filled the room. A sense of triumph resonated deep within Liam's heart. He felt whole, not just as a boy from the farm, but as someone who had embraced his passion and inspired others. Emily grinned widely, doing a little jig of excitement. We did it. We really did it. Yeah, we did. Liam laughed back, embracing the moment. The warm feelings of connection lingered in the air. They had turned chaos into creativity, turning a simple competition into an elaborate tapestry of memories and inspiration. As the ceremony wrapped, the judge announced that they would share Seeds of Joy with everyone in attendance. Liam beamed with pride, knowing that his grandmother's legacy was being honored in a way he'd never imagined. In that moment, everything clicked into place. The fears that had held him back, the weight of expectation, they faded like shadows at dawn. He had forged his own identity, blending the sweet and the bitter from his experiences. Let us go celebrate, Emily shouted, bubbling with joy. Liam nodded, glancing at his father one last time. This journey had transformed him, stitched together not just dreams, but an unbreakable bond with his roots, his family, and the community he had once feared to step outside of. The applause faded, but the echoes of hope, connection, and determination sang loud and clear in his ears. He was ready for whatever came next, no longer just the hidden farm boy, but a dreamer, proud as always to share his journey and his chocolate. Before the curtain fell, a booming voice rang out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. Remember to cherish your own stories. We create the sweetest connections together. And with that, Liam knew this was the moment he had to seize. Make your move, these chapters are behind us, but your chapter begins now. Don't hesitate, subscribe immediately to the channel, so you won't miss the next exclusive stories about transformation and inspiration. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this journey. Comment below, sharing your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your feedback means everything, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to be a part of our growing community.